Yeah. So share the screen. Kindly. It's more complicated. So you should be capable to move from it like this.
Okay.
And then here is the camera and this is the speaker. Oh, did you come with the samples? Lovely.
Yes. And my tools of the trade. So this is the microphone.
Yeah, yeah. Unless you can also put it in the...
Maybe I'll do that.
So thank you for taking part in the scientific workshop and making, because as I always mention, the art is the best way how to bring the science to the public and people who would normally not be interested. So I'm very happy to have you here.
Thank you very much, and thank you so much, Paula, for inviting me here. I'm very honored to be part of this workshop today. I'm Emilia Telese, and I've been an artist all of my life. I'm originally Italian, but I grew up in the UK, and as well as being an artist working in a variety of media, I'm also a PhD in social science. And as part of that, a lot of my work has a lot to do with social interaction and the way that humans interact with nature. And being in Iceland, this is very strong as an element here. So the work that I've been doing in the past few years have had a lot to do with printmaking. I was also trained in printmaking in Italy, in Florence, in particular, with a particular accent to a particular focus into Renaissance techniques. So I, over the years, have developed ways of making inks following 16th century recipes. And these recipes I modified to my own specifications. And one of the ways that I do that is by using earth and using pigments that I make out of earth that I find in different places. So my last pieces of work that you're more than welcome to see. There's going to be an opening tomorrow, Friday, at the Iceland Association of Printmakers on Tryggvagata. I use a lot of my own materials to make inks out of earth that I find emotionally interesting, but also significant historically. For example, earth from the underground soil of the palace of Frederick II of Swabia in Puglia, in Italy. Also earth from the glacier of Snæfellsjökull, and other types of earth that are significant to my memories. For example, I grew up near Vesuvius, and there's a lot of different kind of earth there. I use these kind of tools. This is a muller that is made with ground. It's a surface of ground glass at the bottom. You can touch it, and there was a video of me using it. Is it somewhere here? Yeah. So it's a way of grinding the earth that I use together with different oils and other ingredients that I incorporate in my inks. So the technical side of it is the use of earth and different ingredients to make inks, but also the sort of artistic side of that in terms of content is that I'm very much interested in the interaction between humans and nature, and the aspects of nature that are not human. That's the sound that it makes. You do that for about half an hour normally until the sound becomes much less discernible, but it's very loud. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, okay, awesome. Yeah. So Yeah, you can stop there. Otherwise, you can't hear me from. Then what I do is there's another video there. Then what I do is I take a copper plate. That is one of the most ancient forms of printmaking that was started in the 16th century, and people like artists like Dürer, Albrecht Dürer used to use it. And then I use this tool, which is called a rocker, to make incisions in a plate of copper, as you can see that. And I do it about 80 times over for days in this case, because the plate is quite big, until I create a surface on the copper plate where the ink goes inside in order to be processed for printmaking. And you can also touch that. So doing this process with the dust from Icelandic sandstorms was an absolutely interesting experience for me. For the past 4 months, I've been doing these pieces that you can see on the walls here and on the side. They are these ones, and I used 4 different types of dust that probably Dr. Dagson Valthauserova will explain more, because I don't really know the implications of that in terms of what kind of dust they are. But the thing that I noticed was that the sort of volcanic dust, the darkest dust from Dingjusandur 2022 was the one that probably due to the glass element in it, absolutely embedded itself into the paper. So you can see this is, if you can touch one of my prints here, and that is made with Myrdal's dust, and it embeds itself much less than the Dingjusandur. But apart from these kind of technical considerations, one of the things that I found really significant for me as an artist was the interaction between the figure. These are silhouettes of Dr. Dagson. You know, yes, Paula. These are silhouettes of her working in the field, and to me, it really connects with Morton's idea of hyper objects, which are the objects that have an inherent quality that affects us on a much wider scale than we imagine. And in terms of art theory, it's very much, to me, the link between the human and the non-human, the emotion that are, the emotional value of dust, the idea that dust affects us all, even though we don't see it. And this, I made a paper about this that I can share with you afterwards. But this technique that that is made with this rocker is called mezzotint, and it's made by painstakingly making marks onto the copper plate. And I really liked the juxtaposition of painstaking long time interaction with a material like copper, and then something as fleeting and as impermanent as dust being permanently etched onto the surface. So you can see that in some cases the dust clumped to form these kind of formations. That was where you see the darkest areas of the plates over the prints over there. They are where the rocker went deeper into the copper plate. And so it created a darker area because it creates these kind of indentations in the copper that it's where the dust is caught. And so I did it in a number of ways using a lot of different kind of ancient techniques, and these are the results. So I'm really interested in any comments or any impressions now that you've seen it for the past 2 days. And normally as an artist, I prefer to leave the meaning to the person looking at the work, because I don't want to impose what I mean by doing this onto you. You are the people who are going to look at it from an audience point of view. But on a sort of scientific level and sociology level, to me, this is has been an incredible journey. And I very much look forward to any impressions or discussions that you may want to have. So that's me. Thank you. You can also see any other instrument I use, like a dentist pick and other sort of very interesting old looking tools that you can look at. And I very much like to be hands-on in these things. So yeah.
I have checked if the online attendees have some questions, and they don't, but I think we could leave questions for you in the room here when we walk around the paintings later.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, so thank you very much. Only one, what actually came to my mind right now, as we were talking a lot about drones today. That's the what you, very similar color what you actually see in the drone footage did and other people did in the Yusandur. It is the color of the dust. Yeah. Don't you think so? You did the drone footage of this very made in Yusandur. It has really similar. I was having that as a last slide in my presentation. The color is identical from the prints as from the drone. There is something about the color. Yeah. Yeah. So thank you very much, Emilia, and we will continue later unless there are questions from the audience here. Yeah, not. I would have a small.
Yes, of course.
So did you use any other techniques than just making the stripes and then putting the dust? Because where do you get the blue color?
Yes, this is the only print that has the actual ink in it.
Okay.
So this has got blue ink,
Okay.
because it's an experiment. It's actually the first one I made to see how the blue interacted with the dust. But it's the only one where there's the color blue. And the other ones, you can, these are tiny etchings made on polylaminate that are impressed over the top of the copper, the copper plate where the dust is. So this is a sort of figurative element that goes together with that. So I hand engraved these with one of the tools that I was handing around. That one, that's it. And so you take these kind of points, and then you etch, you engrave the metal, and you create these kind of images. So where you engrave with that tool, the ink goes inside the lines, and then it gets onto paper. The interesting thing, and from my point of view, because I come from a family of paper makers. My great grandfather in Italy had a paper mill where we made these big, massive sheets of paper out of cotton rags. And so I'm a bit of a nerd about paper, but one of the things with printmaking is that you have to wet the paper beforehand for a long period of time. Once the paper is thoroughly wet, it creates a sort of yield because the glue contained in the paper dissolves, and so it becomes very fragile. But at the same time, when you put it through a printing press, which is what I did here, using an old printing press, the wetness of the paper allows any marks on the copper plate and aluminum plate to go deep inside the ink. So it's much more sort of stable in a way. You know, it's completely different from contemporary printing, where you just take a printer and press a button and whatever. It takes about 45 minutes for me to make an impression of that. So you have to treat the paper in a particular way to have these kind of effects. Does that answer it?
Yeah.
From a technical point of view.
Yeah. And also, is it like you don't really know the outcome then only afterwards?
I can partly, it's a partly unpredictable effect and a partly predictable. So I guide the effect, but I cannot completely predict what happens 100%. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
That's okay.
Very interesting.
So it seems we have one question for you.
Oh, okay, great.
So no, feel free to ask.
Yes, I was wondering how arduous is the process of acid etching of etching on the copper plate? Is that a long process?
Yeah, if you start with the mezzotint, you have to think that the rocker, that's the camera, the rocker tool, you have to make it go through the entire surface of the plate about 80 times in all of the different directions. So if you think of a copper plate, maybe 20 by 30 centimeters, that could take maybe 8 or 9 hours to do, just depending on how big the plate is. And then on top of that, after you've done that, then you use these tools that I was passing around. These tools are used to flatten and kind of modify the surface of the copper so that you create shapes in it. In my case, it was also a case of engraving onto the actual plate with a point, and that takes a while because it's like drawing with a metal point onto another metal surface. So it's not like drawing with a pencil where it's easy to make it go through. It's something that is quite laborious. And so I was very much interested in this contrast between laboriousness and the fleeting substance of dust.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Is there any art gallery somewhere to look on this kind of art on yours?
At the moment, I have an exhibition opening on Friday, this Friday coming, on at the Association of Icelandic Printmakers, and you're more than welcome to come. It's at 5 o'clock on Friday, and they are really big, 1 meter by 1.5 meter etchings that I've been making over the past 3 years, but with different techniques. I'm planning also to take these prints somewhere else. I've already had some offers for exhibitions, so I'm also open to suggestions or collaborations, and this is something that I've been doing over the past few years, making earth inks, and you can see them on my Instagram, which is emiliatelese.studio, and yeah, I'm very happy. Yeah, so it's in the agenda. So I'm very happy to share any of my art with you all. So I hope that you can come all to the exhibition in 2 days' time.
And so would you be happy to get maybe samples from other locations?
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
And around the high latitudes.
Yes, actually, yeah. Oh, I would love that. An interesting thing that I did was in 2022, I collaborated with an Antarctic explorer Felicity Aston, which probably some of you know, who was the first woman to travel solo to Antarctica in 2012. And she lives on the island of Vigur, which is on the West Fjords of Iceland. And I went there and made these huge etchings out of the earth from Vigur Island using her expedition tools from the Antarctic expedition. So you can see that in my exhibition in today's time. And that really was one of the things that started this idea of working with earth and significant ground, working, for example, with earth from receding glaciers, especially the Snæfellsnesjökull glacier in Iceland that has featured a lot in my etchings. So this has been a body of work that's been going on since 2022. And yeah, I'm very happy to have more samples of Earth from interesting places that I can make art from.
From Greenland.
Oh, brilliant! and if you come to the exhibition in today's time, I can also show you my workshop where I make these things. So it'll be an honor for me to have you over. Yeah. Thank you, Paula.
Thank you.